Hi, I'm Tracy Benson, the Transformation Sherpa and founder of On the Next Page. Tomorrow, we kick off our second round of the Mind Manual. So I'm coming here now to give you a taste of what's in store. I'll share much more about the program in a couple of minutes. I'm going to go deep on one concept so you can get a real feel for the kinds of things that we explore together in the program. So let's start with an interesting fact. What percentage of the total available visual field do you think that we humans actually see? If you're here with me live, drop your guess in the comments. And if you're watching this later, take a moment to think about it. The question is, how much of the total available visual field do we see with our human eyes actually? All right. So, you ready for the answer? Fabulous. According to the Department of Energy, the human eye can only perceive 0.0035% of the electromagnetic spectrum, or what is known as visible light. So when we know that we can only see 0.0035% of the available visual field, well, where's the rest of it? That's what I want to know. So this fact alone is striking. And also think about it as a metaphor. And here's how I think about it. If we're only seeing a tiny fraction of what is actually available to us, that means that what we are seeing becomes much bigger in our perception of what's real. So big, in fact, that it actually blocks out all of the other ideas, perspectives, and potential solutions. So, given this, it shouldn't come as a surprise that what we do see outside of ourselves is at some level a direct reflection of what's inside of us. And that's a discovery by Carl Jung, who said, we only perceive what is already inside of our consciousness. That, my friends, is way bigger than confirmation bias. Here's what it means in the context of our relationship to other people. Jung introduced the idea that projection, he calls it projection, to explain how we can feel absolutely certain that we know what another person is like and what they think, and that we then react or interact with those people based on those assumptions. So imagine our eyes are the lens of an old-fashioned movie projector, and the person in front of us is essentially the movie screen. When we find ourselves annoyed or irritated or even hurt by words or actions of another, what we're really seeing is an old movie inside of our mind playing out right in front of us. Here's a recent example of how this happened in my life. I was in a client's reception area chatting with a couple of people as they were coming and going. The conversation had something to do with my energy level, which is usually pretty high, right? As you know. So one of the individuals said, Tracy, I hate to see you upset. Whoa, wait, what? Wow. I'm sure my eyes got huge. I know I stepped back, maybe more than a couple of inches. I said, I don't get upset very often. And when I do, I really try to manage the intensity. She looked really confused, which got me confused. And then I got curious. So I said, are you imagining that when I get upset that I get aggressive or hostile? She was flabbergasted and it was all over her face. That was not at all what she was thinking. She actually said, when you're so nice and lovely that I hate the idea of seeing anybody upset you. And wow, what a miss on my part. What in the heck happened? So it turns out that when I hear the words energy and upset together, my mind immediately goes back to my childhood and to the very unfortunate habit my father had of expressing his anger in a most threatening way. So that's perception as projection in action. And what's really amazing is that our negative projections are absolutely a path to our breakthrough. They are a big part of what holds us back. So when we observe the negative qualities and characteristics inside of us, like I did with anger, hostility, energy, intensity, and so forth, we can identify the source of those negative qualities and characteristics, release them because they're invisible and they reside in our unconscious mind, and they're clutch on our values, behaviors, and our worldview. It's a lot like removing the dust from an air filter. If you haven't cleaned yours out in a really long time, you know what that looks like. When you do this exercise on the regular, you'll start noticing it all the time in real time. And when you make a habit of releasing those judgments from deep inside of our unconscious mind, you'll feel lighter, clearer, way more open. So, what genius, and I'm going to share the link to the mind manual right here. What genius, what magic, what one of a kind light inside of you is just waiting to burst forth? What impact can you create in your life, in your most treasured relationships, in your community, and in the world when you discover how to turn that light even brighter in this one precious lifetime? That's what's in store in the Mind Mastery. It's an 8-week deep dive into tools like the ones that I shared, rooted in brain science, neuro-linguistic programming, and decades of leadership and executive coaching. We start tomorrow at 4 p.m. After the last round of the program, Robin said, the Mind Manual helped me become me again, a different me 2.0. So in the Mind Manual, you will receive, I'm just going to add, I was going to add a link to the comments, but you can see it on the banner there. In the Mind Manual, you're going to receive 10 life-changing insights about how our minds work, just like the one that I shared. 8 powerful tools you'll be able to use well beyond the 8-week program. A robust community of authentic and caring people who simply want to live their best lives, just like you and me. And in the moment coaching from me, your transformation Sherpa. So if this sparked something for you, please drop a comment about what resonated in the comments. And thank you so much for watching and for being curious about what's possible when you start working with your brain instead of against it. I sure hope to see you inside the Mind Manual. Thanks so much.